Business can be stressful, especially in today's day and age. But the one question that a lot of people ask us is if you can get a VA loan to start a business. As veteran business owners, we have to tell you that that is false. You're not able to do that. The VA does not offer VA loans at this time. But we wanted to create this video to help break that down. Really try to break down the process of getting a loan, why you need a loan, what things to look out for. You can get loans to start businesses. So don't think that you can't get a loan. But we always recommend looking at all your options before you actually get a loan. My name is Steven with Business Growth Engine, where veterans help coach other veterans on automating, scaling, and marketing their very own business. If you want to find out more, go to bgarmy.com. But we're going to dive into this today. We're going to try to break down what it is to get a VA loan. Not just a VA loan, but an actual loan itself. Now, VA loans are all for, most of the time you hear VA loan, it's for houses. And the VA actually doesn't give out money. What it does is that guarantees a loan. So you're going to be guaranteed a certain amount. The loan company is going to be guaranteed a certain amount that the VA is going to cover if you default on it. So ultimately, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of the VA portion. And we're going to try to answer the question, can I get a loan to start a business? You absolutely can get a loan to start a business. I've tried multiple times to get a loan for a business, so I've learned a lot of tips and tricks along the way. But, running multiple businesses in the past, I realized that that's just may not be the best way to do it. One business, for instance, that we started, we tried to get a loan for. It didn't quite work out. We ended up going in about $120,000, $130,000 in debt. So we learned quite a bit. But at the same time, what I always try to tell people now is you don't need a loan to start a business. You have to, I always recommend trying to find other ways to create that revenue before you start your business. So let's say that you're starting a gym, for instance. One of the most famous gym owners is Alex Hormozi. So, he always talks about you want to try to get those pre-sales before you actually open your gym. Same process with everything. You want to try to do a product launch, a pre-sale, pre-orders, all of that to get some of that revenue coming in. Because that's going to do a couple different things. One, that's going to give you your revenue. So that's obviously a huge one. You may generate $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 from revenue source that you didn't think was possible because you were focused on getting a loan. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can also, it also shows you that your idea may or may not be valuable. So what I mean by that is that if you're running product launches, you're trying to get some money coming in before you start your business, you may realize that your business idea has to be tweaked, has to be adjusted for people to bite. It's called a hook. You're throwing hooks out there trying to get the resources, but ultimately you may not be getting the right resources because they may just not be interested in the market right now. And so as a consumer-driven market, we have to play with what the consumers want. Now, to answer the question, can you get a loan? Yes, you can. So let's say that we're trying to get a loan for $100,000. If we're trying to get a loan for $100,000, most of the time, small business loans, you can go through the SBA.gov, which is just the Small Business Administration. Now, they have a lot of different requirements. Most of the time, the very first thing you're going to want is a business plan. They want to understand what your business is, how many years it's going to take to be successful, how much money you're asking for, what that money's going for, and why you're doing X, Y, and Z. So that's a lot of different stuff that they want to do. The other thing that they're also going to want is how much equity are you putting into it. They're not going to give you 100% of that $100,000 because they want to be able to see that you're able to put some money up front as well. Most of the time, it's about 20%. 20% or more, just depending on the lender. Because once again, the SBA doesn't necessarily hand out the money. Overall, they back the loans. So if you default on the loan, the government will pay some of that loan back to the banks. Now, that's a couple of different things. Let's dive into the business plan aspect. Some of the big things you want with the business plan that they're looking for is they're looking for how much money you need, why you need it, what your business is, your core offer, how you plan to make money, who is working for you, and why you're doing your business. So they want to get to know you as well on a personal level. They want to know what experience you may have running your business, getting into that business, and really diving into that. So this way they are sure that they can give you the money. Because you going into a bank and asking for $100,000, you have $20,000 down, they may not just give you the 80 grand and let you walk out the door. They want to know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it. They're also going to want to look at your profit and loss statement. Now, your P&L statement is going to be extremely important because that's how they're going to look at how they're going to get their money back. They want to know, okay, over the next 5 years, how are you going to make money? What's it going to look like? Is it going to be profitable for them? Is it going to be profitable for you? And then they're going to also look at the payment terms. They want to understand when you can start paying it back, what your marketing strategy is, and all of that information. So this seems like a lot of information, but if you break it down a little bit at a time, you can start piecing it together. Identify the why, identify the who, and identify the where. Once you're able to acquire those, you're going to start understanding why you need that money, if a loan is the right for you. I personally, same thing with all of our coaches here, we do not recommend you getting a loan to start your business because we've also done tons of studies. It's shown that a lot of people that don't have a loan for a business, that have kind of bootstrapped it along the way, tends to be more profitable, more rewarding for them. They own it. They own the direction it's going. They don't have to worry about that loan. So that's a couple of different things to look at. You know, if you're shutting down your business, keep in mind that if you took out a loan, you still have to pay that back. So that's going to be interesting. You know, if you do, hopefully it doesn't come to that. That's why we try to teach you guys this stuff, so this way you're aware of it before it actually hits. So as you're going through it, as you're looking at it, try to come up with a good business plan, and then you want to come up with your marketing plan. And your marketing plan is also going to be kind of coinciding with your business plan. You're going to understand, it's called a SWOT analysis. You're also going to break down who your competitors are, what they're doing, how they're doing it as well. So this way you get an understanding of how to market your business, what's working with their business and what is not. So all of that stuff together is how you're going to be able to apply for a business loan. They're also going to look at your credit score, your personal credit score. They also want to know what type of assets you have on hand that you can back your loan with. Because most of the time with a business loan, it's going to be a secured loan. They want to know, you know, what equity you're willing to give up. One quick tip, never give up your house as equity, because if you default on that loan, they could take your house. So I highly recommend you never, ever do that. Never give up something that you're willing to trade for defaulting on your loan. You want to look at the worst case scenario and go from there. Now, if you are going to get a loan, keep in mind you're going to want to look at the interest rate and the payments as well, and what you're going to use that money for to grow your business. Sometimes it's logical to get a loan, and we understand that. If you're looking at getting a loan, reach out to us at bgarmy.com. We'd love to help put together a business plan with you, a marketing plan, and see if it's the right fit for you. Just go to bgarmy.com, click apply, put in the information. We'll reach out to you and see how we can best assist you. But once again, if you're looking at getting a loan, you can get a loan for a business. You just can't get a VA loan. VA does not back a loan for your business. But keep moving forward, staying strong, and we're looking forward to helping more veterans in the future.